So our next item under Set Matters today is item 88. And item 88 is honoring the life and legacy of Supervisor Richard Valle. If you notice his pictures in the rear of the chamber today, I want to acknowledge the fact that his spouse and daughter are here in the chambers as well. And I want to provide an opportunity for his staff, the board members, county staff, and others to speak, and we'll have remarks from the public as well. I just want to maybe start things off. It's always, difficult for me, particularly at this time, because we lost Supervisor Wilma Chan within the last 15 months, and then we lost Supervisor Valle. And I've known both of the supervisors for decades, and they both provided a lot of knowledge and wisdom, experience, and courage to the board to help us navigate these challenging waters that we have to navigate on a regular basis. And it was a beautiful event that took place on Saturday to celebrate Supervisor Valle's life in Union City. And I'm just, I appreciate, once again, his staff and family for the event and the speakers there. I'm going to repeat the remarks I made at that event, just so those remarks are recorded and on the record here at the board. So, as I stated at that time, Supervisor Valle was both a friend and a colleague, and we definitely send our condolences to his family and friends and loved ones. And it is with a heavy heart that I, make these remarks. And Supervisor Valle served honorably as chair of two of the board's most significant committees, Public Protection and Social Services. He led our efforts around reimagining public safety. He held regular meetings out at Santa Rita Jail over a 2+ year period during COVID to help us deal with issues out of Santa Rita Jail, particularly as relates to the mentally ill and the functionings of the jail. He served on the Alameda Health Systems ad hoc board that we created dealing with governance. He was on a number of regional bodies, including East Bay Clean Energy, Alameda County Transportation Commission, among others. He was also very active in working on immigrant services and rights. And as I remarked on Saturday, one thing that stands out in my mind with Supervisor Valle was the fact that when he wore his sweaters at times, he reminded me of Father Knows Best. Now, some of you might be a little too young to remember Father Knows Best, but some of us who are a little older remember that TV series. And when he put on that sweater and walked around the board chambers and his office and other places at times, and that was the thought that came to my mind. He is just looks like Father Knows Best. Supervisor Valle, I think, represented five kind of principles that I just want to remark upon. The principle of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. And all of these helped him to, I feel, based on his Buddhist practices, to have the insightfulness that he had. And it doesn't mean to say that his insightfulness was the be-all, end-all, but it provided him with that sense of calmness and insightfulness that permeated his deliberations. And with Supervisor Valle, I believe he practiced the 5 remembrances, and I'll just recite those. I'm subject to aging. There is no way to avoid aging. I'm subject to ill health. There's no way to avoid illness. I'm going to die. There's no way to avoid death. Everyone and everything that I love will change, and I will be separated from them. And the 5th remembrance, my actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. So I really believe Supervisor Valle lived by those remembrances and wants us all to keep those in mind. And we were touched by Supervisor Valle. He touched our lives. And he modeled a life well lived. So I'd like to see if my colleagues and Supervisor Valle's staff and county administrators and other county staff would like to make some comments, and then I'll open it up to the public. Supervisor Carson.
Yeah, thank you very much. First, I want to underscore my condolences to the family, to Barbara and the family and grandkids and everyone. I thought that the event this past weekend was a very incredible celebratory event that was hosted, full of energy and life, which was a reflection of the person we all interacted with, Richard Valle, full of energy, full of life, all the time. And I would just say simply that while he's no longer physically here on earth, his spirit lives on in all the people that he touched every day along his journey while here on earth. And that was reflected in the diversity of people who showed up on Saturday, from youth to seniors, from all over the geographics of this area and beyond. Was just a minor reflection of the fact that his spirit still lives on in all of us. We will miss him physically, but he's with us spiritually.
Supervisor Tam.
Thank you, President Miley, and I also want to convey my deepest condolences to Mrs. Valle and the family. As the newest board member, I had probably the least interaction. I can count maybe 5 conversations I've had with Supervisor. I wanted very much to sit down with him to talk about St. Rose and what we can do collectively to help that hospital. And so that is one of my biggest regrets. I have known Supervisor Wilma Chan for over 30 years, and we've had several conversations about her colleagues on the board, and she described Supervisor with as being incredibly kind and compassionate. And I wished I had that opportunity to develop the kind of relationship Supervisor Chan had with Richard Valle, to the point where I heard that she even adopted her staff and moved a lot of the projects like in All-In with Ardenwood and Masonic Homes forward. So I hope to continue moving some of those projects forward to continue Supervisor Valle's legacy. And I will miss that opportunity very much.
Supervisor Howard.
Yes, thank you, President Miley. I'd like to echo all of the comments by my colleagues. And I would just like to say Supervisor Miley indeed was a kind, compassionate, gentle person that I enjoyed serving with. And even before that, I will say the first, not before that, as I was sworn in, one of the first things I did was take a tour of his district with him. He spent almost the entire day showing me around District 2. And he spent a lot of time with me explaining the importance of St. Rose, the projects that had been done in his district, and how much he cared for the people of District 2. As we served together for the last couple of years, I enjoyed sharing time on the dais with him. He fought hard for the people of District 2 for Alameda County until the end. Will be missed. Condolences to his family. And I will very much miss Supervisor Valle. Thank you, President Miley.
Right. See if the county administrator, county council, and county department heads and agencies heads have anything they'd like to say.
Thank you. I want to also extend my condolences to Richard's family. That was so important to him, especially I know his grandchildren most recently. And also I want to thank the staff for planning the celebration, which I agree was a really fitting memorial and a way to honor Richard. As you know, has been said often, Richard was passionate and committed as both a public servant and a businessman, and he really advocated for those most in need. But I also remember, and I think we'll all remember him as a compassionate, generous, and thoughtful person, as a leader and as a colleague, deeply committed to his family and guided by his Buddhist faith. I think what we'll remember is his courage and perseverance, especially during his recent health challenges, which really was an inspiration to all of us, and he leaves a long-lasting legacy for Alameda County, the region, and the state. So thank you for sharing Richard with us.
I'd like to take the opportunity to again share my condolences with Mrs. Valle, Richard's dear wife, and to the rest of the family that's here today, to whom I didn't have an opportunity to speak on Saturday. I'd just like to share one reflection regarding working with Supervisor Valle here in the county. As a lawyer, as you can imagine, I don't always see eye to eye with my clients, nor do they always see eye to eye with me. But one of the things that I enjoyed about working with Richard was that Richard was always willing to contact me and have the discussion, and to take what he chose from that discussion and use it. But we could always have a healthy debate and have an opportunity for me to share knowledge and insight regarding the legal issues to help him inform his policy issues. In Richard's last days, the last opportunities that we had to see him here, I had the opportunity to chat with Richard about his last days. It was reminiscent of an experience that I had with another Richard, who also passed away and fulfilled his position here to the county until his very last days. And I shared some stories about that time with Richard, and he shared his thoughts about how he was spending his last days in service to the people. And one of the things he shared with me was his sense of duty, and that he was living his life the way he chose by continuing to work and show up for the county. And while I could not fully understand it, what I did fully understand and take from his words was his sense of duty and commitment and honor to the position that had been bestowed upon him by the voters. And I could only admire that sense of duty and commitment. So I wish you peace and blessings as you continue to grieve and deal with the loss of your treasured Richard.
Any county department heads, agency heads want to make any comments? Okay. I'd like to invite Richard's staff to the podium.
Good morning, supervisors. I think speaking on behalf of the District 2 staff, we have Gabriella, Brenda, Maria, Jenny's listening online. She couldn't be here in Oakland this morning. I think we prepared some comments that I'll read, but I first want to just say that I think listening to your reflections and comments, there's some common threads with what we have here. And, me personally, it just really speaks to the consistent, good person that Richard Valle was. So on behalf of the District 2 staff, we would first like to sincerely thank and appreciate each and every one of the county employees that helped to support and make the Saturday celebration in memory of Richard happen. Barbara and Monica are here. I'd like to thank you two and your family for sharing Richard with us for all these years. He meant so much to so many all over Alameda County. To our staff, he was a leader with a passion and vision for helping the most vulnerable. He could be hilarious at times. He could be very frustrating too. But at the same time, I think as his son put it on Saturday, he could be benevolent, caring not only about the work in front of him, but the work of his staff and the well-being of their families. He left an indelible mark on District 2 with the initiatives and projects that were his passion. He worked, as was mentioned, till his very last day serving his community. There were times recently and over the years, where we'd say to Richard, you don't have to make everything a priority, or, maybe you take this meeting from Union City, do it virtually. And his response was always the same. Chris, I live for this. He really did live for this work and serving his community. I think just in closing that his son put it best on Saturday, that for Richard, work was a passion. So let us all endeavor to live as Richard did, passionately and recognizing each other's humanity. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And once again, our condolences and support there with all of you, his family and his friends and his staff. So let's see if we have any speakers from the public. Speakers can get 2 minutes.
There are no speakers.
No speakers?
I'm sorry, we do have a speaker. Keith Brown, you're on the line. You'll have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you, President Miley, board, and staff. I'm Keith Brown. I'm the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Alameda Labor Council. In the 10 years that Supervisor Richard Valle served in District 2 on the Board of Supervisors, and the 13 years he served on the City Council in Union City, Richard was a fierce advocate for equal access to health care, housing, jobs, and education. He is a champion for working families of Alameda County. Richard Valle will be missed and never be forgotten. On behalf of the House of Labor, I send sincere condolences to his wife, Barbara, and the entire family. Thank you.
You're on the line. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
Good morning, supervisors, and my name is Michael Freed. I'm resident of Cherryland, but was a longtime teacher in the New Haven School District. I wanted to commend Richard Valle for his work and his legacy in terms of doing community service for our schools, for our youth, and for one project that he took on, and I'm really proud to have known him at that point. He produced a bunch of posters, which he's passed around for people to silence the violence. And that was on behalf of all the kids that were suffering from gun violence and gang violence in our Decoto schools, New Haven schools. And I just wanted to reiterate that as one of the things that I really honored him for as well. Anyway, I'll yield the rest of my time for everybody else to make their own comments, but he will definitely be missed. Thank you, Richard.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Hello, good morning. My name is Sofia Rodriguez, and I'm the Partner Relations Manager at La Familia, and I'm speaking on behalf of the organization. We just wanted to take this time to thank Supervisor Richard Valle for his service to community. La Familia has collaborated with him for many years, and we were present at the Celebration of Life event this past weekend. It was beautiful. We appreciate his contributions. We also want to recognize that the process for bringing in a new supervisor comes with different challenges, and we hope that as many of his staff as possible are kept in place in order to ensure a smooth transition. And we will continue to work alongside whoever holds this role and is elected in the future. Again, it is our hope that this new person would continue to support the projects that have been initiated and are underway that were led by Supervisor Valle. We have reviewed the proposal brought forward by County's Administrator's Office, and we appreciate the time that went into creating this timeline and process. We thank you, Supervisor Valle, and thank you for your time.
Hi, good afternoon, morning. Good morning. My name is Monique Berlanga. I'm the Executive Director of Centro Legal de la Raza. And I want to give my sincere condolences to Supervisor Valle's family and to the rest of the supervisors who worked alongside him for many years. You know, growing up in Hayward, locally for many years, Supervisor Valle and Supervisor Chan were role models for me in terms of what can be done. What can be done in a position of power to make sure that communities' rights are still protected. Supervisor Valle could always be counted on to look for ways to preserve the rights of those most disenfranchised in our county. Anytime there was a crisis with unaccompanied minors, Supervisor Valle was the first person to contact us in this county to say, what can we do? How can we make sure that you have enough funding for legal services to make sure these unaccompanied minors are provided with legal services to preserve and protect their rights? When there was a pandemic and an eviction moratorium was necessary, Supervisor Valle was one of the first to call and say, what can we do to protect tenants? He was always in touch with what was happening on the ground and was always the first one to call and make sure that he could partner with us to make sure that tenants and low-income immigrants and low-income workers had their legal rights protected. We will miss Supervisor Valle, and we look forward to supporting whoever his successor is and supporting the rest of the supervisors and continuing his legacy. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Thank you. My name is Jackie Coda. On behalf of the Alameda County Republican Party, I just wanted to give our condolences for Supervisor Valle to his family. Supervisor Valle has done a lot for the community and the county, and we just wanted to recognize the sincere loss and the void that will be felt within the county. We want to congratulate the family as far as, you know, your ability to move forward in this process. I know it's very, very difficult. However, we want to just let you all know that we in the community feel for you and feel your loss as well. So thank you very much. And we appreciate his service to our community and our country. And we respectfully pay our respectful wishes. Thank you.
Please state your name. You're on the line.
Bob Swanson, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Some 20 years ago, I was invited to be on the board of directors of Spectrum Community Services. And my good friend Richard Valle was on the was the executive director. And I worked with Richard for quite a number of years. It was an honor to work with Richard, very compassionate towards our seniors and people who received meals from us. Even after Richard left Spectrum and went back to Tri-CED, he supported Spectrum in many, many ways, in our website, in our transportation vehicles, and helping us out with those. I just really miss Richard, and I will miss the Buddhist twinkle in his eye. Thank you very much.
No more speakers.
Okay, I want to thank the speakers for their comments, and we'll just take a moment of silence and reflection before we move to the next item.